Pressure now with me at the age of 51 is what I put on myself. Everywhere I've been, there's been pressure. And I've been under that since I was 16 as a player. Obviously, the standard, that excellence, is much greater and higher at UCLA than it is a lot of places.
Tonight, only two remain, Syracuse and Indiana, as they'll vie for the most coveted award in college basketball, the NCAA Championship Trophy.
Well, it was a blessing being able to play my 4 years at Indiana University.
And here's Alford breaking free in a foot race with Monroe.
And then just have a possession-by-possession knockout game against a great Syracuse team.
Alford's three. He knocks down two quick ones.
And I just wanted to see that clock hit all zeros.
Indiana has a chance to tie, and that means that Steve Alford, who has hit 7 of 10 from three-point range, will be the man they'll try to free. Indiana can win it. Smart takes the shot. Indiana wins the championship.
And that was the memory that I'll remember the most, is our team celebrating and going crazy, knowing that all the hard work, everything that had been put into it by coaches, by players, had now been completed, and we'd won that 5th national championship at Indiana.
My first thought is what these kids have done, and especially what this kid right here has done.
We're going to play some putt-putt. We're going to play some mini golf. I want to know what you got.
You don't want golf or hoops. You just want to talk.
Oh, all right.
What's going
I
on?
definitely don't want hoops. Thanks for having us, man.
Welcome to Calabasas.
Coach Alford, thanks for having us to your beautiful home here.
Thank you.
So obviously, you grew up in Newcastle, Indiana. You played your college ball in Bloomington. I'm not sure people truly understand what it's like to be a high school basketball star in Indiana who ends up playing at IU. How old were you when you first realized, I think I'm famous?
You know, Seth, I've always felt very blessed that I played in the right era, and we didn't play all over the week. It was only Friday, it was only Saturday, so it was like football. And so the town would get geared up, hyped up for those games. I got a chance that the stage I was performing on is the largest high school gym in the world. It's beautiful. So I don't know if it was that I knew I was famous, it's just my junior year in high school, I knew that I was becoming a pretty good player.
So when you're playing ball in Newcastle and it's clear that you're a top player, and here you are 16, 17 years old, and Bob Knight is in his heyday. We're talking about mid-'80s, so
Right.
They win the title in '81. He was perfect in '76.
Right.
Was there any part of you back then who looked at him and said, I don't think I want to play for this guy, he's nuts?
Never, it was the opposite. It was, and he's still got that reverence to him, that mystique that I still sense today at almost 51 years of age, that respect of, this is the man. This is the guy that I want to play for. And recruiting's a lot different now, Seth. Now guys are making announcements on TV and over social media, and Coach Knight was one phone call. He called my dad at school, and I can remember my dad pulling me out of the cafeteria while I'm eating lunch, and I'm mad at Dad because I'm with the fellas. I'm like, you can't pull me out of the lunchroom. I'm hanging out with the guys. It looks bad. And he goes, okay, well, I won't tell you who just called me. And I said, no, who called? And Coach Knight just called and offered you a scholarship. What do you want me to tell him? And I'm like, no, go call him. It's done. I'm coming.
Growing up, I always followed Indiana University basketball, and if you were following Indiana at the time, you were following Steve Alford.
My dad played for Coach Knight at Indiana and had unbelievable years there, unbelievable success, set all kinds of records that he still holds at Indiana.
All Big Ten, All-American, even won a gold medal. He played with Michael Jordan and Patrick Ewing, with some really, really good players. was a phenomenal shooter.
Brilliant shooter, brilliant being off the ball.
Scoring big numbers, scoring in his 30s. Never missed a free throw.
He can still shoot. Shooting to him is like riding a bicycle. Never forgets.
Not the most athletic, not the tallest, not the strongest guy, but he found ways to get open and to get shots off, even when guys were 20 pounds bigger and 6 inches taller and could jump 10 inches higher. He was somebody who just worked extremely hard and was in the gym probably more than anybody else.
You know, he doesn't talk about his accolades. When you walk into his office, he's got all the plaques and all the relics of a person that would have had a great career, both in college and then his stint in the NBA. But you would really never know it, which is one of the things that I can greatly appreciate about him.
Playing for a coach who was very successful in college helped us out a lot, because you know he's been there, and you can Google it and watch little things that he did.
Ready, Big T?
All of your young men have to be working at the same time on the same page. So you gotta have great chemistry, you gotta have great relationships, you gotta have great teaching.
We gave you 5 things we absolutely needed to win in the offensive game and 5 nevers defensively.
You know, he's a teacher, and he really has that former player that he understands. He'll get on them, but he gets on them in a way because they know that he cares about them.
We're 4-on-2 on the free throw line and we forget to communicate.
And nobody cares about their players more than Steve Alford does.
Study it. So be critical of how you played when you watch a tape and get better at it. For instance, in practice, some of you relax a lot at the free throw line. All right? And you don't shoot well at the free throw line because you don't concentrate. Same thing happens in the game. You make this great move and you get fouled and fans and girlfriend in the stands oohing and ahhing, and you just made a great play, and then you get to the line, you relax, and then you miss free throws. You don't get anything for the move. You get things for the free throw line.
He's very vocal, he's fiery, and he gets after us, and it's because he's a competitor.
There's 2 things I want you to see in this. This is a down screen.
Even when we're wrong, we know he wants the best for us.
I used to think that, especially in this profession, if you are doing the same thing over and over and over again, that maybe your kids would get bored or tired. But what I've learned is that we are coaching children, not men. And consistency helps to build safety. And I think that's what he does best.
All right, let's have a good one. Take your notebooks back. Let's have a good one. Let's go right to the floor to stretch.
You're someone who's been on the front page of the sports section since you were
16
years old.
Yeah.
Can you imagine stepping into a job like this without that type of background? I would think that's got to be a huge advantage in terms of your preparation for this level of visibility.
Seth, I definitely think it's helped me, and I would say that's an advantage. If this is your first big job with dealing with media and dealing with fans, you know, with this market, it's a very, very difficult job. But I've got a pretty good perspective. Playing for my father, obviously, coach, a high school coach and college coach of 40 years. You understand being grounded. You understand that things are good for a reason and things get bad for a reason. And you've got to be able to handle both of those things and have some stability and some roots in both of those things. He taught me that as a player first and foremost. And then once I got into coaching, those were the lessons that he and Coach Knight particularly had a lot of influence on me in.
Obviously, you referenced your father, Sam, who you played for in high school and was on your staff for quite some time in college. And now you're coaching your own son in Bryce. How are you most like your dad in coaching your own son? And how are you most unlike him in the sense that, you know what, I'm not crazy about the way that my dad did that with me, so I'm gonna do this differently?
I think Dad would tell you that my freshman year, I went up and down a lot from the junior varsity to the varsity. I only scored 17 points. I averaged 1 point a game. I was skinny, scrawny, weak physically, skilled for a freshman, but probably physically not ready. for the varsity level, and I think if he had to do over again, maybe he'd just left me on the junior varsity the whole time and get that experience and grow. From 3rd grade, 4th grade, 5th grade, 6th grade, I was this scoring machine. I was leading scorer, and now all of a sudden as a freshman, 1 point a game. That was humbling, and I think that helped motivate me to do what I was later in my career going to be able to do. But I think how he handled that first year maybe, and that's maybe differently. That's why Bryce he's been right in. You know, he was a backup his freshman year, sophomore start again as a junior. The growing phase was going to be a little bit different, you know, and it's different coaching somebody in college versus high school. There is no JV varsity per se, but more similarities, Seth, than differences. I've learned a great deal of going through that experience as being a coach's son, and people should really know the coach's kid. I was the same way. Dad kicked me out of 7 practices in high school. You know, and I probably deserved some of it, but not 7. But you have to send messages through your own son because you know and trust that your son can take it, and he's tough. It's not always fair to that person, to Bryce, but through Bryce, the others learn.
The kids have grown up literally in every gym that Steve's ever coached in.
When I grew up, the dinner table was always about basketball. And when I'd get dropped off at elementary school, I'd go right to his practices.
You know, with Steve coaching and now Bryce being a junior, it's extra incentive for me as a wife and a mom to be up here. I have the whole family involved now.
What do you want to do today?
I want to go eat.
Can't eat. We got to practice. Now my own children are around basketball, and you talk about basketball constantly. Are you going to come to a scrimmage tomorrow?
I love what my husband does for a living, and not everybody can say that. And so that's very unique on our behalf because it is a family affair.
It's made it a lot more fun for me. Yeah, I wouldn't still be doing it if the kids didn't enjoy it as much.
Well, ever since I was little, I knew that I wanted to play for him just because that's really all I knew.
When your dad is your coach, the pressure becomes even greater because if you're playing, you're always going to have to come against the, well, he's playing because of his dad.
I've heard every type of negative comment there has been, and you know, it's all kinds of stuff from being a daddy's boy, not being the guy who should be out here. I'm only playing because my dad's the coach.
And there's been some really tough games where we've had 20,000 people chanting Daddy's Boy, to the point where we've also seen him where he's hit 9 3-pointers against SMU in the NCAA tournament and is the star.
I can't imagine hearing somebody talk about your son the way that some people talk about me and how he deals with it. And you know, he's trusted me the whole way. I think it's just been something that we've all had to learn how to deal with. And now in year 3, I think it's something that's not going to bother us.
Westwood sits right in the middle of Brentwood and Bel Air and Beverly Hills and Hollywood. It's just an awesome spot. 75 and sunny every day. You're blessed, and you do pinch yourself.
At least 3 times a week, at about 11:30, we all go eat.
Because eventually, that's where they're gonna launch the spaceship that's gonna go to Mars.
Our lunches probably have more random topics than they do basketball.
I told Tyus, I said his great-great-great-great-grandchildren will be doing gymnastics on Mars.
We laugh and we joke and we kid, because it can't be all work and no play or no fun time.
That looks right on tap there. Thank you, my man. When you've got guys that like sci-fi and they get out of the norm of thinking.
One of the theories out there is that this world, our water supply comes from frozen meteorites that hit.
You know what? Where you're chasing meteorites, I'm gonna be chasing a white ball.
It gives us a break from the stress that comes along with being at a place like UCLA. No doubt it's a fun place, but high expectations and stress sometimes can wear on you a little bit. So being able to go out and play a little bit, I think is important.
Each of the staff would tell you the same thing, that our worst days are great days. It's like Coach Wooden's got a quote saying, there's never a bad day at UCLA. There's an awful lot of truth to that.
Are we good to go? Good to go. All right. You're a young man. You've got a long road ahead of you, knock wood.
Right.
But if for whatever reason, by the time you were through coaching, you had not coached in a Final Four,
Right.
do you think you'd be unfulfilled?
It's my drive. It's a passion because I was there as a player. I was able to win a championship as a player, so I know firsthand what it's like standing on that platform and saying, who's next? And there's no next. That is an incredible feeling. But not only do I want to experience as a coach, I think more importantly, you're in it for the players. And you want them to have that experience because you know how special that is. It's the pinnacle of all your hard work coming to fruition. It's an undescribable feeling. So I'd like to have that for one of my teams. But with that said, that drive, that passion, I've enjoyed all my stops. You know, Manchester College, a town of 8,000 that had 5 winning seasons in 100 years, and we go to the championship game against Bo Ryan. We're both 31-0, and Bo gets us in the championship game. You know, that was a special time. Missouri State taking them to the Sweet 16. They'd never been there before, experienced that. That was fun. Iowa, their only Big Ten tournament titles. We got 2 of those, and the only stretch of 7 straight winning seasons. That was fun. The best 6 years in New Mexico history was when we were there. So I feel like our blueprint and who we've been as people have touched all those programs. Now in a program, like I said earlier, I'm not going to be able to duplicate the things that have been done here, but I can try to achieve the bar that's raised here, and that's, at 25 years into it, that's a driving force to be able to say, hey, you're at the top of the food chain, and that's exciting, that's fun, and so I'll fight every day for our players to try to get them to that place, Seth, but as you know, you gotta have some luck along the way too. The ball's gotta bounce your way. You've gotta have a 3-week period where you really shoot the ball well, you can score it, and you're hoping those opponents you're playing through what you're doing defensively, they're not on fire. That's hard to do. So those that get there, I have a lot of appreciation and respect for, and those that win it, it's a hard crown to win.
Nowadays, these kids have gone just about everywhere.
Bahamas, Hawaii, Spokane, Washington. It's basketball. You just never know where you're going to go in the season.
They are young men. They're not grown men yet. They're 18 to 21 years of age. So anytime that we can get to cities early and show them a piece of history and educate them a little bit, I think that's all part of the college experience. Being able to take the guys to Ground Zero Museum. Things you see on TV, you read about it, but now actually going and seeing what that's all about, I think educationally it's great for your team as well.
When we are in a place like this, we try to take every opportunity to let them expand and explore. They were very, very young when it all took place. But I do think within their history books, it is something that is brought up continuously.
Now to actually see it and go through it and have somebody tell them and explain them kind of what went on during that time, I think that really adds a lot of meaning to the process for them.
So this is a small piece of the antenna. If you look at this diagram, I'll show you what you're looking at. You're looking at that.
It's a great reminder that we do live in a great country, yet we are vulnerable.
This column that you see is the last column, and it became a totem pole of tributes.
Many lives were sacrificed on that day. But in this country, we press on, we move on. We are a strong country. We are a nation of winners, people who band together and who love each other. And I think those are qualities that make up a great team.
I think you realize how small you are and how small the game of basketball really is compared to everything else. It just teaches you not to take anything for granted. Just live every day like it's your last and take every game like it's your last.
North Carolina against the Bruins of UCLA.
It's a blessing that I've got an opportunity to be at UCLA and be a basketball coach.
Sit back and enjoy the action.
Champions are made to work at a high level. When you've spent your whole life on the floor, in between the lines, now as a coach, you're outside the lines, and that's hard.
I think if he tells you he's going to do something, then he's going to do it. He has tremendous follow-through skills because we will be prepared to play any opponent, no matter who it is.
The great thing with Coach Alford is, hey, we just have to be the best we can be. And we're trying to do that every day. He sets the standard of excellence because of how he carries himself, how he works.
I think he truly cares about not only his staff, his coaches, but his players.
I believe in them, I have a passion for them, and I want them to be very, very successful.
We've been here 2 years, going on our 3rd year. And so 2 years, 2 Sweet 16s, and now heading into our 3rd year. We feel really good about where we've been, but we're really excited about the future.
We've won 11 national titles in basketball, the most on the planet, and we've won 113 national titles as a school, most on the planet. Now it's trying to take that next step. We got a little bit more experience this year, a little bit more depth. Playing pretty good basketball. So if we can have growth here in the next 2 months, we like our chances going into March.